These are the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. Welcome to TRS Clips. Make sure you hit that bell icon and don't forget to subscribe. What about the individual's own spirituality because of marriage? So, does something change in your own spiritual growth after you go through the process of marriage? What happens to your personality? What happens after you have a child?
Oh, it's even better. You see, when a spiritual person is there, I mean, let us say, I consider you as a spiritual boy, and your vibratory level is definitely going to affect your wife. She will also sit with you and offer prayers. And when two individuals who are prayerful, reverential, they love each other, imagine the kind of progeny they can end up having. A balanced society is the only result out of it. To me, when you meditate, especially with your partner, day in and day out, you practicing meditation together, it changes everything. It makes you more peaceful. I mean, you have heard the word what is pleasure, right? It is restricted to a physical level. You have heard the word joy. It's here, mental, emotional. Very rarely people have experienced bliss. We have these three phases, like at physical level. When we enjoy something, we call them pleasures. Right? Pleasure of having a great meal, for example. When we move on to emotional level, we say, wow, what a joyful relationship, right? Very rarely we talk about bliss, which is at a spiritual level. And I would like that we thrive in a society, in a family, from that level as well. So imagine you and your wife are meditating together. And in that state of meditation, where you come to most intimate relationship, where you are invoking God also. People often, when they make love, they turn the photographs of gods and goddesses in a reverse way and say, no, no, God, please don't look at us. It is as if it is very sinful. It is not sinful. You are inviting a very precious soul, and we call soul as Atman, right? And Atman is part of Paramatman. You are inviting something very vital. How can it be a shameful thing? It is not. So one has to understand that it is a reverential process. And when both individuals are in that state, your chemistry works at a different level altogether. Let me explain to you something from epigenetics. I don't know if you follow epigenetics. Epigenetics is all about influence of environment on your genetic expression. Okay. They've done trials, experiments in Brooklyn, New York City. Mothers to be who are going through a certain phase, they have a different lifestyle, people living in a ghetto where there's so much of crime. You don't know when from which side the gun will blast. And even husband, who knows, he might be sleeping with a gun under a pillow, so he need not even argue. So mothers to be who are under constant stress, that cortisol level is always so high. And when your response is always sympathomimetic, where you either fight or you take a flight, either you punch or you run away, right? Fight or flight mode because of this sympathetic responses. Now, when that happens, your blood circulation is more in your limbs because you have to fight. Blood is needed there. Then what happens? The blood is taken away from the visceral organ, from the vital organs. Now, the same hormones, same neurotransmitters are crossing the placenta barrier in mother's womb, going to the fetus that is growing. That will also start, having limbs, longer limbs. There also the blood is transferred away from the vital organs. For example, your GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, your lungs, etc. So they end up having a weaker digestion, weaker lung capacity. Okay. Furthermore, the frontal cortex they call, which is all about thinking, reasoning. Blood supply in this area is reduced. But the blood supply in this, what they call amphibian brain, reactive brain, increases. So the blood supply here will be more. So the brain development here at a physical level will be more here and less here. So cognitive abilities also drop. So stressful environment can be combated if husband is cooperative, bring about harmony and peace. Similarly, wives should not be indulging in such actions that they can create stress. That's why in our ancient Indian traditions, when they learn that daughter-in-law is pregnant, within a month, what do? They have a ritual. They do the worship, havan, etc. And very respectfully, prayerfully, they send her away to her parents' place. Why? Because that's a familiar place where her familiar food, she will enjoy life there. She'll be without stress. In an agrarian society, when husband is working, when mother-in-law is working, a lady who is pregnant will feel shy. How come I am not working? I have to also work. That stress will always be there. So they send her away, see. So our traditions are very rich actually, and with a scientific reason. They give a reverential puja and then send her off with a lot of respect to her parents' place, you see. So and she would spend time in bhajan kirtan. They will be spending time with a lot of good storytelling by parents. So the fetus that is growing inside will imbibe all those things, you see. The hearing capacity of a fetus is very great. Even through the placenta barrier, they understand the sound, not eye vision. Eye vision develops even after 3-4 months, perhaps, after it is born. They cannot even recognize the colors when they are newly born. See? Yeah. So coming back to this idea of reverential feelings in your heart, and not taking this sexual aspect of relationship to be as a damnation or as a sin. At the same time, one doesn't have to become so compulsive, excessive, so that the holy aspect of it is also neglected. So we have to bring some sort of a integration, some sort of a balance between spiritual life and our bhautik life, material life. They have to be balanced. My master, under whom I got training, he used to say that bird cannot fly with one wing, needs 2 wings. Our human existence also should not become like, that I decide to become sannyasi. And what happens to my parents when I take sannyas at a very early age? My parents will suffer. So, it's an irresponsible act. Even I don't admire Lord Buddha having a child and then say, I'm having a detachment and I'm running away into the forest. He left his wife and a newly born child in the palace and just left just like that, as if he has no responsibility. It is irresponsible act. To me, spirituality and materiality must go together. It should not be at the cost of the other. It has to be together. And even though I may have it together, imagine for a moment a bird with 2 wings. What is it that guides these 2 wings? It's a tail. And that's how in the aeroplane they invented the tail part. You see, it gives the direction to the plane, the rudder. And what is this tail in us? that gives the direction to go in both direction, this way or that way. That is our heart. Heart is the tail, guiding principle that always tells us, oh, you follow your heart, it's always good. Imagine, Ranveer, imagine for a moment the wrong decisions you have made in your life. You don't have to tell me. But when you analyze those decisions, what went through your mind before you made those wrong decisions? You will come to one single conclusion. You did not listen to your heart. Analyze any of your decisions.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely right.
So we need to listen to the heart. Now imagine if your heart is corrupt. Even the most corrupt heart will give you the right decision. But one has to know how to listen to the heart. And that's why I think if a person just becomes quiet, calm for a few minutes and focus on the heart, it will guide them. And that is meditation. Meditation is nothing but tapping into the guidance which is already there inside you. The gurus are not outside. They can somehow inspire you. But this inspiration is only to look within yourself. Right? How many times you have rejected your parents' opinions? Many times, right? But have you rejected your own inner voice? Very rarely. But what if there is an eclipse of your parents' suggestion and your own inner conscience? When they meet together and form an eclipse, that's the best scenario, see. So it's not enough that your parents meditate. I have also to meditate and I have to vibrate at the same level, see.